Vice President JD Vance clashed with CBS News reporter Margaret Brennan over illegal immigration in a fiery first sit-down interview.
Well, Margaret, I don't agree that all these immigrants or all these refugees have been properly vetted. In fact, we know that there are cases of people who allegedly were properly vetted and then were literally planning terrorist attacks on our country. That happened during the campaign, if you may remember. So clearly not all of these foreign nationals have been properly vetted.
But there are 30,000 people in the pipeline, Afghan refugees.
But my primary concern as the vice president, Margaret, is to look after the American people. And now that we know that we have vetting problems with a lot of these refugee programs, we absolutely cannot unleash thousands of unvetted people into our country.
These people
it's
are
not
vetted.
good.
These people are vetted.
Just like the guy who planned a terrorist attack in Oklahoma a few months ago, he was allegedly properly vetted, and many people in the media and the Democratic Party said that he was properly vetted. Clearly he wasn't. I don't want my children to share a neighborhood with people who are not properly vetted. And because I don't want it for my kids, I'm not going to force any other American citizens' kids to do that either.
No, and that was a very particular case. It wasn't clear if he was radicalized when he got here or while he was living here.
I don't really care, Margaret. I don't want that person in my country, and I think most Americans agree with me.
The internet reacted immediately to the clash, with this commentator saying, "That's not journalism, that's an irrational woman that lacks principles and the ability to reason. Make America great again, Vance 2028. This commentator agreed, saying, "Why do these reporters always ally with the potentiality of crime and harm instead of just supporting Americans and having a safe country? It's so exhausting." Kudos to Vance. And it's not only the media out to get the Trump administration for its action on illegals. Widespread protests have begun in border states. But an icy reporter and protests won't stop the Trump administration from keeping their election promise to stop illegal immigration. Work has already started to build walls and stop the flow into the US. Donald Trump is talking tough on this issue and will not back down.
We have a lot of great people right now, a lot of great people on this situation. This was a gross miscarriage of common sense to allow people to come in. And I believe the number is 21 million people, and a large percentage of them are criminals all over the world. This is not just South America. This isn't, we talk Venezuela, that's a big abuser, but these are countries from
Iran,
the Congo, countries that you don't even think of. The Congo has emptied their prisons out into the United States. We're not thinking about the Congo, we're thinking about South America. It's much more than South America. But prisons from all over the world have been emptied out into our country by Biden, allowing it to happen. I don't even know if he knew what the hell was going on, but
US sports journalist Stephen A. Smith doubled down on this and said what many Americans are thinking.
When we're talking about immigration and we're talking about immigrants who may be criminals, you're talking about them being arrested. Let's have due process. But if it takes too damn long to address it, that pisses people off. That's one of the problems that exist in this country. You're looking at stuff and you're like, okay, you arrested him. Was he in jail? All right, you let him out. Recidivism is an issue in this country. You let somebody, you arrest them, you're letting them out the same day, stuff like that. You got law enforcement officials that are getting discouraged because they're looking at it and they're saying, wait a minute, why are we out here risking our life and taking care of this stuff when y'all are just letting people out? You got to handle business. And a lot of times we hear about the red tape and all of that stuff, and you're talking about a candidate right now who now happens to be the president of the United States now. He's sitting up there and he's talking about expediting the process at every turn. Let's just get stuff done. Let's just get it done. Now, I don't know if I trust that. I don't blame you for not trusting it. But we have to understand the American people are saying, you know what, enough's enough. We've tried it that way. We've been doing it that way for decades. We sick of y'all. Let's wait. Let's go through the process. Let's arrest somebody. Let's let them out. Let's put them back out on the streets. Oh, let's make sure they have due process. You think somebody wants to hear about due process with somebody that's in this country illegally? They want to hear that. You in the country illegally. Hell with your process. Yeah. You got the audacity to admit a crime after you got here illegally? We ain't trying to hear that. Nobody's trying to hear that.
And Sky News contributor Kosha Gada agrees, saying the Trump effect is well and truly here, with the president effectively closing the Mexican border.
Joining me now for more is Sky News contributor Kosha Gada. Kosha, it took Trump just one phone call to do what the Biden administration has failed to do for the last 4 years, and that's get Mexico to take some real meaningful action to help stop the illegal immigration crisis. Donald Trump spoke with Mexico President Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo, and he promptly put out this release saying she has agreed to stop migration through Mexico and into the United States, effectively closing our southern border. Surely it can't be that simple.
This is the Trump effect on full display. Now, the president of Mexico is new. She just won election in June. She just came into office in October. So she is not that familiar yet firsthand with Trump, but I think she's going to learn. And this phone call was her initiation. Look, I think the chessboard still has many moves to go. But Trump does have a blueprint, because he did this before with a couple presidents ago when he negotiated the Safe in Mexico deal, where people coming from other parts of the world into Mexico can get safe harbor there and can't come over into the U.S., as well as tariffs and all these things. He's tried them. He's seen what's worked. He's going to push it hopefully even harder this time. And clearly the previous administration didn't want to do anything, otherwise they would have.
Well, no, and they dismantled what he was doing, like the Stay in Mexico policy that was very, very effective. Now,
as well as closing the borders, the Trump administration moved swiftly to end birthright citizenships.
Right. Here's the truth. The 14th Amendment was never intended to serve as a blank check for illegal immigration. It was never intended to grant citizenship to the children of people who broke our laws to get in this in the first place.
Sky News host Rita Panahi applauded Trump's action, saying the president has learnt a lot from last time.
welcome back to Outsiders with your hosts, Rowan Golden Age Dean, James Fafo Morrow, and I'm Rita Panahi, fresh from the glorious United States of America, a country that is markedly different than just a week ago. Trump 2.0 bears only a passing resemblance to Trump 1.0. It is evident that despite the lawfare waged against him, his family and his supporters, President Trump has not wasted any time learning from the mistakes of his first administration when he trusted too many swamp creatures in an effort to be conciliatory and prioritised DC experience over competence and loyalty. And since he was sworn in earlier this week, President Trump has not wasted a minute implementing his agenda, the will of the American people, who gave him a landslide victory, gave him the House, the Senate, and even the popular vote. Unlike his often feckless and gutless conservative counterparts in the UK and sadly Australia, he is not a conservative or Republican in name only. He is not wasting power. He is actually, get this, implementing the policies that got him elected, fulfilling the promises made to the American people, from economic policy to foreign policy to the so-called culture wars, which are actually hugely important issues. These aren't trivial issues. They go to the heart of a nation's values and laws. And it's what helped get Trump elected. Indeed, there's plenty of polling that shows things like the trans issue ranked even higher than the border crisis and inflation for independent voters.